Hello and welcome to another edition of Micks Mowers, and in this edition we're going to be taking another look at my Honda HRX476, which has a rotor clutch issue. If you remember rightly, in my other video, I'll show you up in the top right hand side now, there's a link to that. It came with a no drive issue, which I repaired it by putting on a second hand belt. It wasn't the right belt. The rotor clutch was working beforehand, but when I fitted the belt, the rotor clutch then would not turn off. I have now got a brand new belt for it, and this is the correct belt, which I got for eBay. It was a lot of money. It was probably about £8, if that. So I want to fit the new belt to it, take the slack back off it again, and then just investigate as to why this rotor clutch won't turn itself off. I have a very suspicious feeling I may have put the rotor clutch all back together incorrectly, or maybe put the keyway in the wrong place, but until we get down and dirty, I won't know. So come on, let's get down and dirty together and let's have a look at this Honda HRX. And here it is, and it's a big old mower. And they go for a pretty penny when they're up and running correctly. It's got plenty of fuel in it. It's not been started for about 6 weeks, I would say. So let's see if I can fire it up. Nearly. And there it is. It took a while to start because there's probably no fuel in the carburetor, but it may want a bit of adjustment as well. The drive works fantastic, but the rotor clutch is spinning from word go. Right, so the first thing I want to do is just slacken off this rotor clutch cable because it is quite taut. Just want to give it a bit of slackness on there, just to see if that fixes it. Now the cable's nice and loose. And we give it a quick go. Right, so that's the cable now slackened off. I'm just inquisitive as to it, maybe that was the reason why. I doubt it, but let's have a look. Okay, so that's not it, so it's got to be something else. Let's get it up inside the shed on the stand and let's take this assembly apart to see what's going on. Okay, so this is how I'm going to take it apart, and please feel free to leave any comments in the section below if you feel that I'm doing it incorrectly or if it's not quite right. This is my first time in, well, I did it last time, but I haven't actually worked one of these before, so this is going to be a bit interesting. Big gun, I think. Yep, 5mm compressor up. The gun out, so we should now remove these with ease, hopefully. So that's the blade off. Grab a magnet tray. Now someone suggested to tighten this up a bit more. See, that seems to be free spinning. Where is this? No, there's a compression there. So that's not. So let's just try and tighten it up first. I don't think that is a problem, but I may be 100% wrong. No, there's still compression. I can feel it. So something not quite right here. So the plate is pretty much depressed all the way down. So let me take this plate off now. I might have to take the pull cord off to do it. Come off. And I'll show you the order in which I've had it put on. So there's a bolt that holds it on. Next, I've got the plate there. That plate looks to me to be upside down, so that's how it was on. So I'll take it all off together. That's how it sits, like so. That's how it was. Now I did try it with that plate round that way. I don't see how that could be right, because it had score marks on the inside here, you see. So this is chamfered, so that sits in there nicely and fits in there. Now that all spins loosely on there, as it should do. My theory is that all should spin as freely as that until I depress the lever. So that's how it was all set up. Yep. Like that, and then it's squeezed down when I put the nut on. So number one, is that plate round the right way? Does it go like so with the teeth facing up, or down like that facing down? I'm assuming down. That can only go one way because of a chamfer. Unless that's actually worn out. Time at the bar, unless that's actually worn out. Anyway, let's move on to the next step. Okay, so next we have this little tiny plate here, which there is room for a keyway, but the keyway is further up. So there's no keyway here. Now I'm suspecting that the keyway actually goes here on the front side, rather than up the top near the belt side. So next what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this bolt here. There's one down the bottom, just down here. I've then got to take the side cover off up here and then remove this spring just here, and that will then give me all of this section visible. So let's just get that done now. So that one comes out. One here comes out, I believe. Let me double check I'm doing this right. So that's that one. Yeah, that one there has got to come out. Big gun again. So I would like to get this mower up and running. that one comes out. Okay, next I've got to remove the little tiny screw just here, and it is a Torx. I should have some Torx drivers here to hand. Yep. So that one comes off. That starts to slacken this whole assembly off here. Next one will come up the top here. Let me just put you up. Okay, so all I've done is remove this cover, and that's held on by 2 Phillips screws just here and here on the back, and 1 bolt here. That cover then comes off. I've removed the spring, which is here, and that just is located just in there. Sits on a lug up the top here. Trying to get you in, but my lead's in the way. That's it. So this little spring sits just in there, and then comes back and sits on this little tiny clip here. That's been removed. I've also removed the 10mm bolt from here as well. Okay, with all of that now removed, I don't think there's anything holding this inner shell on, apart from just a couple of little clips that just need to be pulled as it comes. There's one here, I've just got to pull that clip off. It's starting to come back to me now. That goes in there, I believe. That's it, like that. That's it. And that's the outer shell. That's just grass. So there's the belt assembly. And here's the rotor clutch, all the pulley assembly in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this belt. That's number 1. There's a tensioner just inside here. You can see it, the little tiny Allen key just here. I did tension that right up, so I'm going to slacken that off as well when I install the new belt. So I've got a decent amount of tension on it. So let me just remove that belt now. And this is why I'm not overly keen on Honda, is everything is Allen keys, Torx heads. It's an absolute mixture of tools that you need to get them to work. That's why I'm not overly a fan. Is that going to fit in there? Yeah, it fits in. All I'm doing is just that little tiny clip I showed you. I'm just going to loosen that off, and that should remove some of the tension on this belt. Let me get it untensioned, and then I'll come back. Right, I have removed a lot of that tension off of there now, so I'm hoping to slip this belt off maybe. It's not going to come yet, so I need to. There's another tiny spring just here. Let me get you in so you can see. There's another little spring just here, which clips onto a little tiny clip just in the background just here where my finger is. I'll remove that spring. There's a cable here to remove, which sits in a little tiny, like a ball joint sort of socket. And that should then slacken this assembly off. So let me do it now. If I can get to it. It's going to be fiddly. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Oh, that's just slipped out. That's good. That might have helped. So that sits on there. Just making sure I know where everything goes. So that seems really tight there. There's a little tiny grommet just holding that cable in. Let me try and get hold of that. Try and have that out. That'll be a bit I'm going to lose, if any. There it goes. And now I might be able to get hold of that cable. Yeah, this is fiddly. Let's try and remove this spring. That's the one that's holding me up. I just can't get access into it. There it is. All that. There it goes. So that's that off. So the only thing that's holding that on should be a keyway in there, I think. there goes a cable. So I've got a belt that's holding it. Will it give me it? Not quite. So that belt's got to come off. Let me rotate the pulley backwards, like so. That's it. Okay, here it comes. I don't want to lose no bits here. So remove the belt. If I can. What's that hooked up on? That little arm. That's it there. Right, that's the old belt. I'll look at that in a minute. Right, so this is where we are. So here's the belt assembly. Now there's a keyway back here. I don't know if you can see that. Now I've got a sneaky suspicion that I put the keyway in the wrong place, or does it have two? So I'm asking for a bit of help here. Let me get you in where I need to get you as close as I can get you without stepping on each other's toes. Let's try about there, about right. So there's a keyway here, but there's also another slot for a keyway to go here. Now I don't recall it having two keyways, and that keyway to me doesn't fit. Oh, it does fit. It only just fits in there. It fits in that one just fine. It says it does. Yeah, it fits in there lovely in that back one, but on the front one it doesn't fit. Now I have some spare Woodruff keys, so that shouldn't be an issue if it needs one. So that's keyway driven in there on that belt, and when that all sits in there together, there's a keyway. There it is there. It's got to go around there like that. That's how it goes. Let me just try and line that keyway up. With my finger. That's it there, I think. Keeps pushing that keyway out. That's got it. Yeah, it's got it right. So that's now sits on the keyway just there like that. So that's locked it in place. And this other piece here that goes on next onto there. Now that's also got a keyway, space for a keyway to fit in it. Now, did I lose a keyway? Because my guessing is that should be spinning all the time. That's my guessing. And then when this plate, this friction plate goes up against it, that's the wrong way by the way. That should be free spinning as it is there. And that all spins on the shaft. Now this friction plate, that goes up against that. But technically that shouldn't spin until that plate depresses onto it, like so. So I'm guessing that that goes that way, upside down like that, and then that plate then goes that way, like so. So now that shaft is now not spinning. Now I can't see that when I put the nut on to hold that, which I think is this one, I can't see that that just literally sits like that, loose like that. I just can't see that, because that's all that's holding that blade on. So that's spinning with no compression at all. So effectively that's working. So now if I tie back the rotor clutch, technically that should then pull all of these together and make it all lock as one. That's my theory. Let me know your thoughts. What I'm going to do, I think, is give up and go down a pub. No, I'm not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Woodruff key to fit this. So that's locked into place, because at the moment that's not actually gripping anything, and that's where the drive's coming from. But why is it when I put the bolt on, it is all spinning? Because it shouldn't be. That should be free spinning. Sorry, that should be locked onto the shaft, bomb, like that. So let me find a Woodruff key to fit into there, and then we'll move on to the next step. It comes with a plethora of keys, so I'm hoping one of these is going to go in. That could be it. So let's take that off first. That's it. How does that go? That's too wide. Let's try that one. That fits in there beautifully. So I may have lost a key. Maybe that is the key. Like that. So now when this shaft spins, the back pulley for the drive, that's now spinning all the time. It's now locked in place. So I'm happy with that. So now this friction plate, which goes on that way, I believe, that's now got its own keyway. So now that's locked into place also, which I'm happy with that. Yeah. Come on. Right. So now that's now turning the shaft. So now when the shaft spins, all of that's now spinning. So I'm happy. I think that's maybe where I went wrong on one part. So moving on to this section. This plate here can only go on that way because it's countersunk. There's no damage to it, and that's going to spin freely on that there. That plate then is upside down, I believe, because it's got score marks there. I can't see it sitting like that. If it sat like that, then it would score the outside. I'm guessing that sits on there like that. So now, just this plate is moving and the shaft is not. So my next concern, this is my main concern I have, is that when I put this bolt in and do that up, does that have to be on colossally tight? Because that's now got compression inside it. Slacken it off and it free spins. But that will work loose over time. It can't just sit on there as loose as that. I just cannot see it. Also, when I go to put the blade on, and that all goes on together, let me bring the blade in. We have this little plate here that sits over top of that. So that doesn't hold that nut on, that just sits over top. And then that blade then sits over top of that and connects. Okay? So my concern is that the only thing holding this assembly on is this little tiny nut. Now that's loose on there at the moment. Literally hand tight. I can't see that it's allowed to be that loose, because if that comes off, then all of this can come off with the blade. So I just cannot see that that's correct. Let me know your thoughts. So that's actually got a bearing just inside here as well, and that bearing is free spinning. So when that goes down, that nut must only sit on that bearing, and must only spin that bearing. So I'm going to give that a squirt of WD-40, just clean it up a touch, both sides. Maybe it's a bearing that's at fault, but it is free spinning. So that now reassures me a little bit that it can't come off. Bear in mind I haven't put the belt on yet. So that goes up against that that bearing. That's got compression on it. That's just moved on a bit. I don't know why that was. That's just jumped up. So that's got compression there. So that can't be right. That should all be free spinning, which means it's locking onto that top plate. So that should be free as a bird, like it is there. That's how that should be. And that middle part of the bearing can stay still. But as soon as I depress it on, sorry for the long part of this. I'm not doing my head in, but I just want to truly understand what's going on. Right, so that's now got that shaft, but I've got compression on this here. That shouldn't be, surely. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to do that up quite so tight. I'm just literally going to nip it up. What I'll do first, I'm going to put I'll put the belt on. So the belt is in place. I'm going to put all the springs in place, all that sort of stuff first. So maybe that's hindering it as well. So let me just fit it on as it is, but with the belt on as well. So here's a brand new belt, and that's the one I ordered off of eBay for this mower. So that goes on. That will then slip onto the belt pulley on the drive, and I need to fit the cable on at the same time. So that's a cable goes on, which is fiddly, and I've got a little grommet to put on that to stop it from coming back. So that's on. That can now slide back and to make sure it goes onto that keyway. Right, I think I'm getting somewhere now. I have lost that little bung, it's just shot off somewhere. But I can probably put a cable tie or something around that just to fill that gap in that cable. So I'm not overly concerned with it. I can figure something out for that. Right, so that's now all in place. So we've got the keyway gone in, and that's now sat on the pulley. The pulley that is in place, and the belt is where it needs to be. Just going to fit something on the back of this where the cable goes, just so I can find the little grommet. It didn't go far, but I'm just not locating it, so I'll have a little hunt for it first before I do anything with it. But I'm not actually seeing where that went. What I've had to do there, let me bring in a bit. I've just literally put a cable tie on the back end just to stop that cable coming out. So it's on there tight, that ain't going nowhere. Just stop that cable coming out. All it was just a little tiny plastic bung, but that's a little fix just there. Right, so this is where we are now. I've got the keyway in place. The belt is on the back pulley, I believe. Let me have a feel. I think it is. Yeah, sure it is. Yeah, I think. Oh, no, it's not. It is now. Right, that belt's now on the back pulley. So that's all now where it needs to be. I need to just now loop this belt over the back pulley, which it is now on. And there's loads of slack in there, so I need to tighten that up the other end, just to put the slack out of it. That's actually quite a long cable, that, but it's the right one for it apparently. Right, what's next? Okay, so next I'm going to put on this spring, which goes on this little tiny clip just here, and it goes back, and there's a little tiny arm. It's self-explanatory where it goes. Little tiny arm just on the back here. So I'm going to put that onto there, bend the spring round like so, and then I've just got to tension that one up. That's trying to lift at the same time. Tension that spring up so that it goes onto the back of that clip just there. So let me just get a bit of pull cord and tie that on. Okay, so that spring is now on and in place. That cable now is now tighter. That drive cable is so slack, it's not even funny. I'm just going to tie the drive cable down just so to see how much slack is actually in that cable. Right, I've just remembered actually that when you put this spring on, that should tension all that belt assembly, so I forgot that. It comes back to you as you work on these things, it just sort of comes back to you. Right, so the next thing is this little plate, little keyway to go in there, like so, and then that's got to go on that way over the key, which is there. So that's all now locked on. Then I have this lock to go on. Now I'm guessing that that's got no wear on there at all, apart from outside rubbing edge, which would be where that little tiny plate goes on there. I can't see it going that way. Or no, yeah, that's the way it goes on, sorry, yeah, that way. So it's concave going down that way. So that plate goes on next, there, and that's freely spinning. That plate then goes on there with this cast piece all on top of it, and it locks into place like so. So now that is all free spinning as it should be, and the bearing is loose, so that's all out, that's all spinning, but the bearing is staying in the center. So next I want to put this piece on, which is a bolt. Now that's spinning freely. Just want to nick that up a touch. I'm not going to go too mad with it initially. That doesn't feel like it's got any compression. That feels like it's actually got it. I think. But we'll soon find out when I put it all back together. And what I can always do is I can always tighten this up at the end to see. Right, let's move on to the next step, and that's refitting this lot up here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is put on this little tiny spring. Got a bit of pull cord from where I was last in here, and that goes on short end up the top. There's a little tiny pulley for it to go on. Up top there, I don't know if you're seeing that, let me get you in. Just there, a little tiny pulley, see that? A little tiny knob on top. That goes on there. What I did last time is I put it on this end first, and that then goes up the top onto that bit there. So in my bit of pull cord. And that will actually tension the belt up. I may have even done it the other way around last time. Bit of pull cord. That's it. Lift all that up into place. That's roughly got it. Pair of snips along those pliers, just to encourage it into its home without having my eyes out. That's it there. And there's not a lot of tension on that belt, I must admit, but I can probably take some tension up a bit later on. Next thing I want to do is I want to double check this clutch plate is actually coming in and out. So if I put you where I'm sitting, and then what I'll do is I will activate the clutch plate. I want to see if that's moving in and out, and I can watch the video back. So I'll go outside. Right, I've just tensioned the cable a bit. Let's see if that's moving at all. I can see if all the pressings it should do at the top end of the clutch. So I'm going to tie that off. That's spinning. Not as free as I would like, I must admit. That feels like there's compression there to me. Let me get my bit of pull cord and also tie that handle back. Right, that's tied back now, and that's now loose as a bird. So that's working in reverse. I would say. That's now taken off, and that's solid. So something in here is back to front. That's locked off with a handle up in the air. So something in here is back to front. Because as soon as I activated that handle, it went the other way. So we're getting closer. So that's got to go on there. That can't go any other way. I'm going to turn that over the other way and try that. Right. So now all I've done literally is just turned that little metal housing around the other way. That's all I've done. I'm going to put that bolt back in again. And now that's freely spinning. Freely spinning. So that's the handle tied off, and now that's even more freely spinning. Something not right here. It's like something is back to front. So that's how it should be when the handle is not depressed. Let me tighten that right up now. And that's now tightened up as far as what I would think would be. There's got compression there now. So by rights that's now working. Slacken that off, and that's solid. So something is not right. Right, so I haven't done nothing else to it, but I'll just put you over here. Mrs. P, say hello Mrs. P. There she is. So I'll just put it on here 2 seconds. What I'm going to do, I'm going to tie off the Rota Clutch arm at the top end. Just want to show you what I've just spotted. Right, so that's now the Rota Clutch arm tied off, which means the drive, the clutch is engaged. Now, this is tight, but when I come around here to the top, you can actually see the engine spinning, which tells me that all the crankshaft is all now spinning as one. When I release the knot, this still spins, although it's very, very tight bit, but this is not spinning up here. So that tells me it's correct. So I'll put the blade on, put it all back together, and we'll give it a go. I've just half assembled it. All I've done is I've just given it 15 minutes to sit on the floor, and I've just left all the underside underneath all uncovered. I haven't put all this back together yet. The belt does seem to be really, really loose, but I have a sneaky suspicion I haven't put the belt on properly. I've got a feeling it has to fit through like a little tiny pulley system to tension it up, but we'll see. So if I depress the drive, it won't roll backwards, so that tells me it's actually connected, but I just feel that it's not quite as tight as it should be. Either way, let's give it a go and see what happens. Bit of choke. Now going to depress the rotor clutch. So that's all now working. I'm just going to test the drive. As I say, the belt is not quite as tight as it could be. There's a bit of adjustment to have that had on the back and off the front. It may want just a slightly smaller belt. I'm a bit dubious as of what it actually is, but that I can work around. At least now I know the rotor clutch is now working. Just going to fire it up one more time because I'm over the moon and ecstatic. And here is my little Riley boy. He's just come back from school.
And a puppy.
We've got a dog, Poppy. How many dogs? One left now, haven't we?
Oh, what two?
No, not two anymore.
Where?
Mate. I'm not going to tell you where it went. So, Riley's not very well, with a very croaky voice, aren't you?
I got PE tomorrow.
You've got PE tomorrow. Oh, swimming pool tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, I did swimming pool.
A bit. What, today?
Yeah.
He's been swimming today and PE tomorrow. Anyway, Riley boy,
Yeah.
whilst you was at school today,
Yeah.
Postman Pat come round and delivered you a letter.
Santa.
Postman Pat.
No Santa.
No, not Santa. So, we got a letter.
With your little boy.
No, it's not from Roy's a boy. You got Roy's a boy in the brain.
Yes, you. No.
Cool.
Yeah, you.
And we got a sticker from Peter. I'm not sure whether it's from his channel. He's one of my subscribers. But he emailed me the other day to say I got a sticker for Riley boy and he'd like to send it, so he emailed over. So thank you very much, Peter. It's for a brewery. I have checked out your channel. I see you do some kind of you've got a home brew video on your channel there. I have seen it. It's pretty cool. So what do you say to Peter?
It will be the best hero ever.
Thank you, Peter. You're my best hero ever. So let's peel it off.
I'll do it.
You can definitely do it.
I'll do it.
I just can't wait for you to do it. There you go. Do it gently. Right, there it is. Then make a bit of room, and let's put it up on the old toolbox.
I'll do it.
Got mine. Yeah, you can definitely do it. If you want to help and do everything.
Sorry, I will put it
Yeah,
here.
sorry guys, we're going to put it here. Where are we going to put it? Next to Roy's a boy one. Let's put it around the right way.
Yeah.
About there, will it fit or not? Hang on, wait a minute, make sure. Yeah, perfect, just fair. Go.
Boy.
Rub it down.
Boy.
Rub it all down. Lovely.
Yeah,
Right,
boy,
come here then.
boy.
It's Donnelly Brewery. Fantastic. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this episode of Micks Mowers, and we hope to catch you all again very, very soon. Check you later.
Oh, did you die?
Do you feel the vibes?